Welcome back to Letters from Rebellion. This is Ralph again, and this is a space for the fears that we carry, the choices we avoid, the conformity we praise, and the chains we kiss. Reflections on courage, habits, motivation, and the inner rebellion that reshapes who we become. The pursuit of happiness is an endless pursuit, and I'll tell you why. How many times have you heard even the words, the pursuit of happiness? There's even a movie called the same title. And most of the time when I hear people talking about they want to be happy and they want to be joyful, what they're really talking about is something they believe that they're supposed to reach, something that is ahead of them, something that they need to pursue. And that belief did not appear by accident. We have been trained to think like that. We are trained to think that joy and happiness are an outcome, or a reward, or a prize that we get at the finish line. So you work now, you endure now, you hold yourself together now, and happiness comes later. So happiness becomes conditional by design. It depends on progress, on approval, and timing. It becomes something that you chase instead of something that you live. And that has become the norm, unfortunately, but it builds a strange kind of life. It builds a life where effort never stops, and being alive keeps getting postponed. Because if happiness is something that comes later, then most of our life will become a waiting room. And I don't think that happiness works the way that we have been told it does. And I don't think the problem also is that people, they don't know how to be happy, or they don't know how to enjoy themselves. I think that the problem is that happiness has been turned into something that we need to pursue. It has been turned into a task, something that we need to chase. And when happiness turns into something that we need to chase, life will start feeling like a preparation instead of actually living it. So you're always on your way somewhere else. You do this so you can finally do that. You hold back now so you can enjoy later. Even the good moment, it feels like provisional, like this moment doesn't fully count yet. And the strange part is that nothing feels obviously wrong. We're functioning, we're doing what we're supposed to do, but a lot of the small, beautiful moments that actually makes a day feel full, they pass by unnoticed. Take an example like a quiet morning, or a late night stroll, or a warm cup of coffee, or a conversation with a stranger even. They are there, these moments, but the mind is already somewhere else. The mind is already planning the next happiness. And that's the irony. We say that we are chasing happiness, but most of the time we are just rushing past it. I think that happiness and joy, they are not things that you identify. In fact, they are things that you feel in moments that you don't schedule. And because we've been trained, and we have trained ourselves to value progress more than presence, to value the future more than the present, we keep postponing those moments without realizing we're postponing life itself. And I know that I'm being very insisting on the postponement because I can't stress this point enough. You see, life keeps offering moments that could feel happy, they could feel good, complete, and alive. And we keep postponing them without even arguing with ourselves. We drink our coffee while we are checking our phone. We walk somewhere while we are listening to something else. We sit with people half present. We're already thinking about what's gonna come next. And at the end of the day, there is this kind of a vague sense that something slipped through without being lived. That's exactly how happiness leaks. Not because it isn't there, but because attention is always somewhere else. It's occupied with what's coming, occupied with what's expected, what we still need to fix before we're allowed to enjoy anything. And life does not warn you when a moment matters. It doesn't come with a label. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, this moment counts. It just passes, And if you're not there, it moves on without even complaining. And I think happiness and joy, they are like really simple. Almost, you can say ridiculously simple or disappointingly simple. They're never complex. Sometimes it's just doing nothing. Think of the Italians, they have the concept of la dolce far niente, the pleasure of doing nothing. For them, doing nothing is pleasure, is happiness. Or doing something that you like without turning it into a goal or a future plan. And these moments, they don't look really important. That's why they get sacrificed first. And that's another irony, that people don't sacrifice them because they are unhappy. They sacrifice them because they are busy. They are not focused, because they're doing what they think they should be doing, so that one day later they could feel happy. But life does not operate that way. It keeps happening. Life keeps happening while you are preparing, and later might never come. This isn't about defining happiness. I'm not here to tell you what should make you happy and what should not. That is personal. For some people, it could be noise. For some people, it could be quiet. For some people, it could be building something. For others, it is resting. And none of that needs any approval from anybody. The only thing that matters here is timing. When something brings you joy, even briefly, just don't postpone it. Don't label it, and don't tell yourself that you'll enjoy it properly later. When things calm down, or when things make more sense, or when you have earned it. Sometimes you get an expensive bottle of wine for a special occasion, and I bet that many of you has done this. But let me tell you what, today is a special occasion, because I believe that since you bought that bottle of wine, you couldn't identify one special occasion yet. So every moment can be a special occasion. Later is where joy disappears. And again, as I said, joy isn't something that you chase, it's something that you feel and notice. And noticing it is a small act of rebellion in a world that is constantly asking you to rush past yourself. Joy says quietly, this moment counts. Not because it is perfect, or not because it is leading you somewhere, just because you're here for it, because you are present. And when you start living that way, life will not suddenly becomes easy, and you will not become the happiest person on earth, and your problems will not vanish. But the feeling of wasting your days, they start to loosen their grip. You stop living as if everything meaningful is always just ahead of you. And that's the rebellion. A rebellion that is not loud, a rebellion that is just present. And once you feel that, even briefly, it becomes harder to keep postponing your own life without noticing how much is it costing you. And if you look closely, the reason why happiness slips away, it's not mystery or bad luck, it is just repetition. And these things, they don't happen overnight. They happen through small, repeated choices. Take an example. You reach for your phone while you are waiting in the elevator, at the doctor's waiting room, you're on your phone. You play something in the background so you don't have to sit with your own thoughts. You turn every pause into a transition instead of a moment. Not because you're addicted to these things, it's because these habits have become the default way of how you relate to time. And this becomes a pattern. We live and learn that stillness is something that we need to escape from. That we learn that if nothing is happening, something has to be added. So when a joyful moment appears, something that is quiet and simple, the habit will kick in, and the moment passes before you even have the chance to register it. And that's not a personal failure, that's just conditioning. And we have spoken about attention earlier, I think in the second episode. We spoke about how attention shapes our time. So you stop noticing eventually. It feels like these moments, they no longer exist. That's why joy feels rare for some people, not because life stopped offering it, but because attention stopped staying long enough to receive it. And at moments, there is a low-level restlessness, a constant urge to move to the next thing. And that restlessness isn't asking for more, it is just reacting to a habit that you never stay still. And once you see that, happiness will stop being something that you chase, and it starts to be something that you need to protect. And not by forcing yourself to be grateful, but by interrupting the patterns that pull you away the moment something good arrives. So, staying a little longer, pausing even more, or letting the moment finishes its sentence, that's where actually happiness has a chance to land. And this is where I want to be very clear about something. Again, I'm not here to tell you what joy should look like. I'm not interested in defining happiness for you or turning it into another ideal so you're supposed to live up to. That would miss the whole point completely. Because happiness and joy are personal things, they are deeply personal. And as I said before, for some people it could be solitude, or for some people it could be parties, for some people it could be reading or walking alone or thinking, or conversation, or sports, or movement. And all of that is valid. The problem isn't that people, they choose the wrong kind of happiness or joy. The problem is that they keep postponing the kind that they already know matters to them. So joy gets treated like a luxury item, something that you need to unlock later, once life is handled properly. But life is not working that way. Later is not a safety box or a safety container that holds everything that you delay. Later is where things, they quietly disappear. Later is where the coffee gets cold. Later is when people that you wanted to tell them something, they're gone. The walk that you rushed through, the conversation that you have listened to, and the things that you love, that you keep calling a hobby, so you don't have to take it seriously. This is what later is. And none of these moments, they announce their importance while they are happening. They only show their value once they are gone. That's why this isn't about changing your life. It's about timing and permission. It's about not dismissing what already is trying to meet you where you are. And if something gives you a sense of aliveness, and it doesn't require you to betray yourself or someone else, you don't have to justify it. You don't need to justify it or to label it. You don't need to optimize it. You don't need to turn it into a goal. You just need to let it happen when it shows up, and live it and feel it. Joy does not ask for guarantees. It doesn't even promise you permanence. It doesn't care if it makes sense on paper or not. It only asks one thing, that when it appears, you don't rush past it. And before we move on, there is one tension worth naming. Once you stop postponing happiness, you start seeing something clearly. Most of what passes for productivity has very little to do with living well. We fill our days, we optimize our hours, we chase efficiency, and we still feel strangely empty at the end of it. We're not tired in a good way. We're just tired, and we are just spent, as if work has consumed time, but it didn't really touch any meaning. So joy and happiness, they expose that. Happiness will ask a quiet but uncomfortable question. What kind of work actually deserves your energy? Because working endlessly, efficiently, isn't strength. It's obedience disguised as discipline. This is where we'll go next.